Can we talk about how miserable white people are for a second?
Okay, I'm not doing this right now.
What? Motherfucker, speak for yourself.
Like, you know that white people are miserable, right?
No, no, no. And I'm very likely to get some head later on. Believe you me, I'm pretty fucking happy.
Like, have you ever looked a white person in the eye, even if they're like a big mental health person? You just look deep down and you're like, brother, you are not happy at all.
Bullshit.
I have no fucking idea what white people you know. But the fact that you think that you can speak for all white people and generalize all white people is very telling of your character.
And truly, it breaks my heart. But one reason, I think, one of the main reasons that a lot of white people, a lot of us are really unhappy and miserable is because we lack internal congruence.
Congruence, agreement or harmony, compatibility.
So he wants us to conform to his way of thinking? Or rather, his way of progressive thinking. So it sounds as if he wants us to agree with everything he's about to say. I'll agree with whatever he says if I agree with it. But because he's coming at us with a supposed authoritarian angle, I'm very likely to disagree with whatever he's about to say just out of spite.
Now, congruence is a concept we learned early in grad school to help people heal. And congruence is basically internal alignment. Values and actions are on the same page, right? Like, we accept every part of ourselves. We feel peace, security in who we are. Congruence.
Okay, but in accordance with what? In accordance with who? What about our little idiosyncrasies that make us who we are? I mean, as individuals.
And no matter how hard you try, you can never find internal congruence if you're not congruent with the world around you. If you're not understanding what's real and seeing reality and affirming what's true.
What do you mean by affirming what's true? Am I supposed to affirm with one person's version of what the truth is? Or do you mean undeniable objective truth, like water being wet?
So like white people who deny patriarchy.
The patriarchy isn't real.
And capitalism's negative effect.
Yeah, capitalism is not perfect by any means, but it sure beats starving to death.
And oppression of the world and genocide that's happening around the world.
I don't think people are not recognizing that there are genocides happening right now around the world. And yeah, oppression's certainly happening around the world also, but not where you are.
Like, that's incongruent with reality. That is going to have an effect on us internally.
Maybe it does with you, but not with me. I have to first give a fuck.
Because to deny what's happening in real time, we have to deny certain parts of us.
Like I said, it depends if anyone really gives a fuck. And you can't force us to give a fuck. And I don't think I'm denying who or what I am. I know exactly who and what I am. Something I suspect you could be jealous of.
Certain emotions, certain thoughts that come up. And the more we run for that, the more incongruent and separate we feel, the more dissonance that comes, the more miserable we are.
So if I don't conform, I will be unhappy. If I don't align myself with some kind of supposed fluidity of thought or some shit, then I'll be unhappy. Well, I think we've already established I'm pretty fucking happy. But please, oh arbiter of what I should think and do, tell me more.
A lot of times we're not actually dealing with our own pain and our own reality because we're all suffering under capitalism and white supremacy.
Oh, fuck's sake. It was only a matter of time before the concept of white supremacy reared its ugly head. Come here. One white supremacist is one too many. But is white supremacy a huge plague-like epidemic that we should be so concerned with that we should look out for it around every corner? No.
Like, it affects us different ways in intersectionality, but like, it affects us white people too. You don't think a stormtrooper in the fucking Star Wars movies hates his life? You don't think he hates being bossed around all the time? You don't think poor white people living in the Empire, like in the city walls, like in a Game of Thrones, like you don't think that they're miserable under it, even though they're not miserable the most?
What? First of all, I would love to shoot lasers and pilot a TIE fighter and just wear that sweet fucking white uniform. I mean, working for Space Hitler would be a bit of a drag, but it's up to the opposing forces of the Empire to get good at fighting.
Be congruent inside, to not be miserable anymore, it takes accepting the realities of the world, seeing how those toxic systems affect us, and then moving to actually be congruent. Because deep down, humanity has goodness at its center. So yeah, white people, we're miserable because we're not congruent, because we're denying the realities of the world, and thus denying ourselves.
Look, dickhead, here's the fucking thing. I'm fully aware of all the horrors going on right now. I simply don't give a fuck. And I feel fine that I don't give a fuck. I don't care how I come across by saying that. Rather than worrying about all that bullshit, I'd rather just sit in my chair and drink a fucking cocktail or something. Kicking back with a bit of Jim Beam would be rather excellent, rather than worrying about all that shit going on everywhere else. Would it be great if evil people could stop doing evil shit around the world? Yeah, of course. But frankly, unless it's at my front door, I don't really give a fuck. Just being honest. And neither do you. You just stumbled across a word you've never heard before, congruent, and you made a whole fucking video around it, in a bid to try and convince other white people how awful they are, and how awful they feel, thinking that you can speak for all of us. Pretty narcissistic, and is rather archetypal of someone who doesn't really care. Some people are good at being grifters, others not so much.